Hello and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. Today we have another match of the A Link to the Past Randomizer Challenge Cup. This is a quarterfinals match between Maya-Neko and Phant. It's their first game of the best of three, and commentators for this will be Zeruvian and Kaiwind. Take it from here.
Thank you, Siberian. We've got a fun quarterfinals match here.
Oh, fun's just an understatement. These two have gone through so much already, and now they have this best of three kicking off this morning for a chance to play in the semis against Zero Rush. You bet tooth and claw the entire way through these seeds. We're going to see some stuff, folks.
Yeah. And I believe the with it being quarters, this is top 8.
It is indeed. That means that these two have shown what it takes to get through this year's Challenge Cup, and we're going to see just why they're both here in a few moments.
I guess with it being standard, we can ask the ever important question: what weapon do you think we'll get, and what weapon do you want to see?
Well, let's see here. What weapon would you like to see? I like a bow, personally. Bow makes it a fantastic escape start, and is important for logic later on, regardless of what the seed decides it wants to do. But realistically, we'll probably see something like bombs, probably. That's my guess. Maybe a sword. Sword boring, but it shows up anyway.
I mean, sword would show some very good NMG-style execution.
Well, there's some arrows. That's foreboding.
Of course, with it being a standard seed, like we've been doing for Challenge Cup, we get to start with the escape sequence.
Something we've all become accustomed to seeing during the rounds of this tournament as it's progressed, or the main tournament. Of course, the biggest caveat being the difference in item pool, where they were playing with hard. We are on normal. It's a 7-7, as you know. There's a fire rod. Ooh, boy.
You gotta be pretty conservative with the fire rod.
And getting that first kill there, that's some good news. And more arrows. You kind of wish you had a bow to shoot those arrows with, but no, you got a hot rod instead. So with that first small magic drop, we do know that the guards are in the low-value prize pool, which means the fourth drop will be a single bomb. That's rather important here in this escape sequence if they don't show up in a chest.
Exactly, because who wants to go back through the sewers to get your first glove out of the back of escape? No one.
And it looks like Maya-Neko knows it, because she took the time to throw a couple pots at those guards, and she's advanced to just about where it would be in the prize pack drop. So, safe to say, I think both runners are going to see a bomb here.
Eventually. Hopefully it drops from this green guard right here.
Well, that would be almost ideal. Nope. 50-50 says... Now that just makes the rest of Escape pretty friendly now, because you have a utility weapon in the fire rod, but you're no longer worried about magic conservation.
Yeah, it means we can easily farm off the ropes in the sewers, which will let us be able to hopefully get a bomb drop, since the ropes and the guards are on the same prize pool.
Yeah, with a good 6 ropes in one spot, that's just asking for one of them to just drop you anything, in this case, a bomb. You get your key from Zelda's cell, so we know that either the map is going to be sitting in Dark Cross, or we're going to have an item for sure. At least one more thing to look at.
And the unfortunate part of having played Standard Escape is we have to walk back out of the castle.
But important, as you know, walking out of the castle without the princess is probably not ideal, so they've remembered to take her in tow. And we're basically synced up again. There it is. There's the 4th drop. So now we know the next one is a bomb. And I would imagine we'll probably see all of those ropes die.
Wouldn't be surprising to me.
There it is. And there it is for Maya as well. Alright, so we're going to see 3 items in the back of Escape.
Now, what would be funny is there's 3 bombs right here.
Nope, just more arrows.
All these arrows. Do you think we're going to find a bow?
At this point, if it's going to show you a bunch of arrows, no, definitely not. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised to see anything more than, probably just fill items back here. Just to be like, well, you don't want to have to come back for them. But at the same time, you're happy to have them because resources going into Kakariko, rather important.
Going to Kakariko with no bombs and 20 rupees is... Those are Pegasus boots.
I didn't know we were playing casual boots. Alright, this opens things up pretty extremely for these two. It's going to make the early game fast. It adds a check on the way to Kakariko. It adds a check in Kakariko. It eliminates an immediate need for bombs for a couple things. But also, gonna have a look at that lumberjack tree, I think.
Yeah, we can eliminate a need for bombs on the first couple checks because, for those who don't know of it, there is a pile of bonk rocks next to the fortune teller's house.
And that bonk rock will respawn, and every time you bonk it open, it will drop you a single bomb.
Speaking of bonk rocks, that's what we're checking now.
Yeah, made immediately available after the boots. Sphere 2, just a heart container, but early game, you just want to grab that HP. You never know when you're going to have a nice early mountain climb or something along those lines.
I mean, with this weapon loadout, early Dark World access could mean early Mothula.
And you see that red pendant over on Easter, and the question was, are we going to see a bow? Well, no, we're going to see some bees. Oh, please be careful, Phant. Well, bombs aren't a problem either, because they are our tier 2 tree pole.
I mean, I think everybody likes early bombs.
Yes, but are you a fan of early bees?
No, I'm not a fan of bees to begin with.
And then just more arrows sitting up on the lumberjack. So Aghanim not dying for his item today, but still plenty of checks to look at before we have an idea of just exactly what the goal is going to be in the early game here.
And it looks like we're going to be leaving a shield in the woods.
Yeah, turning your nose up at a shield's probably not the worst choice you could be making. At this point, you don't need it. Blue shirt, on the other hand, I don't think anyone in this tournament would say no to that. You don't necessarily need it either, but it does make your traversals in combat a little bit more palatable in this low percent mode.
Yeah, already we just... And it looks like Tier 1's full magic, which is good to keep in mind. But picking up that blue mail, 1 has Phant still at half a heart.
Yeah, if he hadn't done that, I think we might be having a different conversation here. Overworld deaths are generally not something you want to do.
And here in the back of Blind's house, we have 5 items.
And they kick it off with free bombs. Thanks, game. Vanilla 20. Another Vanilla 20. Well, I mean, I guess we're paying the bottle merch, huh?
And a glove.
A very uplifting experience coming out of Blindside.
I would not be disappointed to have gotten those rupees out of the basement.
Yeah, at this point, you know, you get the glove, it just all pays for itself no matter what now. And there's more arrows. Okay, game.
All
with that
the
pendant on
arrows.
Eastern, there's no telling whether this will end up being a bow hunt or not. It's still too early, but you could end up in that situation where your bows are in a bad spot for a crystal pod. See, now I don't think we're worried about money at all, are you?
Nope. I mean, we're still technically short money for the fish, but who wants to pay the fish?
Find a little love letter from our friend the bottle merchant. We're going to go see what's going on in the chicken house.
I like that comment in chat. Just wait until we need a convenient arrow chest in GT, but all of them were in CAC.
Alrighty, no bottles, so Sick Kid's just gonna sit and wait. But there's your flipper. So the glove again coming in pretty huge. That's telegraphing something, I think, Zeke.
I don't want to see the fish, do you?
I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, with the glove now, we can Houlihan and pay the fish and not have to worry about it. So to answer a question in chat, the settings for this tournament, we've been playing on standard, random weapons, 7-7, defeat Ganon, normal item pool, best of 3 matches. This again is a game 1 between these two in the round of 8.
And we're getting a blind race game check. With how little we got in CAC, I'm not against blind checking it.
And we don't have just 1, but 2, and I think this is the right call here for both runners. Got a hedge CAC on not having anything. We'll pick up those bombs just to have, because keeping your resources in a healthy state is usually a pretty good idea. And she thought about going to Sank, but it looks like we're just going to run on down to South Shore from here. And this makes sense, because with the glove you can just farm your rupees if they don't show up in any of these next 7 or 8 checks anyway, but this is a lot to look at, so I would expect another rupee pile to just appear for us here.
Even 100. What about hammer?
How about that? Now we're just looking for a Moon Pearl, and you can say bye-bye to Aghanim. There is literally no reason to go visit him on the seed.
I mean, we still might. There's 1 item, and I don't want to see it there.
Don't say it. Tracker, don't say it. Yeah, huge shout to our trackers today. We have gotten Pie and a Scottish Brave. Chilling out, hitting the buttons. Making sure we know what's going on, because sometimes we don't.
Speaking of farming rupees, we are getting a rupee farm from Maya.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing I thought maybe a Houlihan would have made good sense for coming down here to South Shore. With the glove, even though you have the flippers, it was enabled. With the boots, you didn't need either, really, to think about just making a quick trip to 225 rupee cave, but picking up these rupees here preserves it for later if you do need it. For example, pod money. And we're going to see Neko go ahead and go straight to Agina's cave from here. I like this, I think.
And Mini Mulrum Cave had a shovel. And not much else.
Not even much by way of money. That's kind of, was it more arrows? Yeah, plenty of those. Bombs. All the bombs are good. Especially after Phant did use some bombs to help expedite the experience in Mini Mulrum Cave with the Mulrums themselves. And Neko has made the absolutely fantastic call to grab that Sphere 1 Moon Pearl out of Agina's cave. We got early Dark World, everybody!
That is not a good place for that Moon Pearl.
Oh no, it might take Phant a little while to get back to that. Instead, he finds a lamp.
Oh no!
Oh, geez, that's if you want to talk about diversive paths, that's gonna do it. And conversely, I think it might be a while before we see Neko go back for that lamp. As you see, your other 5/6 crystal is on Swamp Palace. Of course, the first one being Hera. Green Pendant and Meyer, and a blue pendant on Turtle Rock. So Cane of Samaria could very well not be required on this seed until GT. And we've seen that come up and be a thing.
And we are getting a Sasrala's Closet check from Phant. And a Hype Cave check from Maya.
And a pair of bees in Sahasrala's closet. Didn't know Sahasrala was a beekeeper. Powder, mirror, oh my god, it's real, everybody!
It's actually a Hype Cave.
The Hype Cave exists!
Actually, I don't like that flute.
I also don't like that flute, because that's going to tell me something about... actually, the flute's probably required for the desert access, if you think about it.
Actually, we did just get desert... We just got desert access out of Hype Cave.
Half. Still need mints.
Oh, we still need mints.
Wow.
You know me, I always forget about mints.
We're literally like 3 items from Go Mode already. What on earth? Oh, I like this call from Neko. Do you see what she's doing? She is going up to visit the other fish before she visits the fish.
Something seems fishy there.
Meanwhile, Phant is going to give us a look at Pendant Eastern. 3 items at large here. Could very well see 1 or 2 of them just gated by, the back of the dungeon, having to go around the long way. And of course, not having a bow for Armos Knights. If there is one on there, you won't be seeing it.
Well,
oh no!
Mitts.
Mitts are in Pendant Eastern.
At least Maya has a mirror for when she does go to pod. The problem is, when do you route in pod at this point?
You can't. Not this early. You're not even thinking about pod at this point. You got full clearable Skull Woods, Thieves Town, you got North Dark World, you've got the mountain coming up now. It might be a while before she gets to those mitts, and unlike the Moon Pearl, that's a location that you're just not thinking about. At this point, you're not thinking about Eastern at all.
Well, now we're going to see what's in the area of the big scam fish.
How about a non-required ice ride?
That's not foreboding in the slightest, is it?
No, not at all. Time to see if the crabs are in the rupee drop prize pool. That's a single rupee, so maybe.
These corners are some of the worst things to try and navigate sometimes.
Hey, look, $20.
I think we're about to go around the Zora loop twice.
You get that feeling? Because I think you're here, you see that, that's all you're short. I think you have to, if you're planning on never orphaning Zora. And Phant is going to the rupee room in Eastern. That's not a room you see very often. It's got 90 rupees for the taking down here.
I mean, when you need a little bit more cash for King Zora.
Seeing a little bit of conversation in chat there, Zeke, and frankly, I've got to follow this because of what's going on with the seed layout. There's exactly one item that can be on the pedestal.
3 bombs?
Okay, well that would be 3 items. Try again.
And we have red mail in the King's Tomb check.
And Maya-Neko not having mitts is not going to be making that check just yet. But I do believe we're going to hear a little bit of the Hylian national anthem in just a moment here.
That's our first bow on Hylia Island.
Oh, does that puts us in no mode? All we need for all we need now is the location of the hookshot, and we're in true, collective no here.
Yeah, we just need a hookshot. And, something to kill Gehanon with.
In chat pointing out, yeah, it could depend on just exactly what's going on with Ice Palace here. You might need Samaria logically. If Cold Stare holds a key, the dungeon is asking you to hold the switch down with a block. Of course, we generally break through Ice Palace anyway, so we don't care about that. A little tromp in the dark here for Maya-Neko. She's going to save this old man. Did you know that falling cabbages hurt a lot more than rocks?
I've noticed that.
Pretty wise call here for Maya to go ahead and just take a party favor from the old man and get that HP refilled back up. Climbing up here is never fun when you're getting rained down on by boulders. Whether you're at 3 hearts or 6, it's still treacherous.
And inside Spectacle Rock today, we have just another heart container. I don't think we'll be seeing that heart container because of the time commitment it takes.
Nah, and with knowledge of at least 1 male upgrade for her, I don't think she's worried as much about her HP as we might have been earlier. And a poke a hole in a little fun in chat. Yeah, unfortunately, those cabbages do damage to you inside instead of out, so it's always a full heart. Now we got Phant with the mitts. He's going to go at least save the old man here up the mountain, because this is kind of where that lamp's going to kind of, just push you in that direction.
I mean, he has everything to go up the mountain and full clear looking for the Moon Pearl up there.
Alright, so Maya-Neko with no hookshot, no Harapot. We're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. This is actually a pretty... If not for the hammer, this would be almost an NMG in Moldorm.
And the blue mail.
Well, I mean, yes, but how many times do you actually end up having someone take a death from Moldorm contact damage? It doesn't happen that often.
Ooh, actually, I'm incorrect. Phant does not have access to East Death Mountain.
No, he has no hookshot. The hookshot's not here. He has no mirror. He can't get up on top to hammer those pegs down. So this is literally a 1 check for Phant right now.
Oh, look, pod money.
And a compass in the big chest, so unless Moldorm has the item that we are searching for here, we're going to be paying a visit to the basement, possibly. We're being told both items were found in here. Why'd she open the big chest for a compass?
I think we're about to have a shovel check.
Oh, we are most certainly about to have a shovel check. That's something that we've kind of put off on Neko's side here. Because it can route in better later on, especially if you're thinking about doing, say, Smith Chain.
Maya doesn't have the shovel. It was in Mini Moldorm Cave, and we've not been there yet. And we just got a center hole from Moldorm.
Has she not? Oh, that's not good. Of course, like everything else on the seed, it literally says, here, have some sticks. And thus, Phant has sticks.
And with the bees we found at Saha's closet, we can see what the sick kid has for us.
I was holding my breath that it wasn't a sword or cape.
I do not want to see a sword or a cape for Phant right now.
I'm pretty sure this means Phant is down to his last location.
And we have our first crystal on Maya's side.
Yeah, Moldor may have given us a shot into the 5-hole, as was said in chat, but being an excellent goaltender, we just shoved that worm away. No longer worried about this dungeon. Don't have to come back with no item in the basement. And now, with our first red crystal, the only thing keeping us from... Oh, Lane, we're not even thinking about Pyramid Fairy. Hookshot can't be there. Alright, so... Good old Spiral Cave. Much nicer check to make when you have boots. Just run through everything that's here. Except for that first berry, because it likes to zap.
Now, last locating Moonpearl here feels bad, except in the time he was looking for Moonpearl, he found probably the other most important item we need for Go mode.
That's true, and if you decide to route in a lot of your myths checks as part of everything else, you're probably going to end up with a more clean route through the seed, as opposed to having to chop yourself over to Eastern to find myths as a near last location, because just how much is open without them. Here's the only problem, though. If you start chasing the myths, you end up in quite a pickle. I think the best thing that could be here for Maya is a bow, but we're more than likely not going to see one. We do see a third bee, though. And Phant is doing exactly what I thought one might do in this situation, going ahead and taking straight to Village of Outcasts. We're going to see Thieves Town here.
Required crystal, 4 items. We have the hammer to get past that small key, so everything makes sense here.
A small key, early big key, so still the possibility of at least one item up front, but again, doesn't really matter. We're going to be able to clear everything anyway. Neko is fluting away again. Now, we're going to go and pick up a potion? Gotta get rid of that bee first, though.
I think we're going to be visiting the moth.
It's a pretty safe call. You only have 8 hearts to work with. So at this point, everything in Monster Arena will do a full heart of damage. But yeah, you get this out of the way. You have two absolutely juicy crystals sitting here waiting for you to grab at them. So you can't put this off for too long.
No. And on top of that, we have the surrounding checks. We have access to all of our North Dark World from here, especially with that cape we found over in Spiral Cave. So if anything does happen to be on Bumper Cave...
Ooh, we are getting a full back to front here. Cool. You don't see that every day.
It's not too surprising, because you kind of want to try and save your early resources for Mothula.
Yeah, no half magic. You got the fire rod, of course, which is required to get back here. You do have a hammer in inventory, but hammer, of course, the hitbox on a moving floor is not something you really want to play with. Which leaves you with a fighter sword, and that's not something anybody would go out of their way to do.
Fighter sword, and with the blue potion, somewhere around maybe 11 or 12 shots of your fire rod.
So what I find curious is Maya taking a death warp here. She has the mirror, and she was actually at where your starting HP would be in this situation. So I'm thinking that was a muscle memory sort of thing.
I like to call that the second rudest fire snake in this game. That one that just goes up and down the bridge.
Alright, the bridge chest did give us an extra key. Speaking of half magic, it's in Thieves Town's big chest, as Phant has just unearthed for us. And with the Maiden in tow, we didn't see anything else of major importance here in that Thieves Town. Kina Burna is going to make the blind fight literally free, especially with that half magic. So, yeah, no matter what here, he's leaving with a crystal.
And that is correct. The rudest one is in the Diver Down room in Left Side Swamp. Since somebody asked about my rudest choice of fire snake.
Alright, Moth proving just how much of a jerk he can be, throwing those spikes, sitting on the spikes, getting in the way, basically cornering Maya-Neko into having to use that blue potion. Meanwhile, there was a boss fight on Phant's screen, but I couldn't see because Kina Burna's invincibility shield is a little bit too bright.
I thought you couldn't see because the boss was blind.
Oh no, the boss couldn't see me. That's the joke. That's why they're just shooting blanks.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so simultaneous crystal grabs on the screen. One for Phant at Thieves Town, one for Maya-Neko in Skull Woods. That is a 2-to-1 advantage for her at this point. And now we can afford Dig Game.
Being able to afford Dig Game is always... we actually could afford Dig Game because we spent 30 to get there.
That's true. But now we can absolutely afford Dig Game. And now we can, without question, afford Dig Game. You might even leave him a tip.
There is one slightly unfortunate thing about Phant's route. The mirror's at the bottom of this route.
Yeah, so even though he has mitts to be able to do Smith Chain, he's not going to be getting that mirror until he's already taken the Smith down into the Hype Cave region, which is a bit of a walk.
Also worth noting, now we can really afford Dig Game.
Man,
because we got a vanilla 300 rupee out of C-Shape House.
That's the pod money. You know, Phant dropping into Pinball Room, not exactly a great situation. Luckily, there is a key. I believe by the amount of information given to us by these runners, the other item's in the big chest. You know, Zeke, I'm actually starting to worry that Maya might have forgotten entirely about that mirror.
Just slightly.
Alright, a little bit of love. So we are done with Skullwoods. Both items found. Nothing doing, but a crystal out of the way.
And as I expected, we will be seeing North Dark World. With the cape and the mirror, we can get all the items out of here.
Oh my goodness.
That's
We are in
terrible for
sword
Phant.
mode? We are in sword mode. That's not good for Phant, because he might wait a while to do Death Mountain with what he's got available down here.
That said, that's going to put Maya even further away from Eastern Palace.
Yeah, we're going to see a full cleared swamp probably here, which, as we know, isn't going to yield anything. But we are officially in no mode at the 34-minute mark, with the pending that Cane of Samaria could come up being necessary at some point.
And swords.
Well, yeah, sword, but you have to expect that a sword just shows up in your path, right? To answer a question from chat, Cape was Spiral, right? Spiral Cave?
It was Spiral Cave. And that's going to take another trip up Death Mountain, which, while it is a dense play, the dungeon up there is a pendant. Although we do have to do a Tower of Hair at some point.
I think that's part of why Maya-Neko decided to just get it out of the way, looking for whatever progression she could find. Which, in this case, hasn't really been a bad move, because it got her the hookshot. That hookshot on Bumper it's one of those visual checks you might just not think about for a while.
Especially if you don't have a cape. Because otherwise you'll be stressing about where the cape's going to be too.
And especially knowing where your bow is, and, you know, I don't believe Neko has seen Hylia Island, but you have to imagine that she's going to at some point. Alright, so this will be back down to Thieves Town for Maya-Neko as Phant engages in his fight with the Moth and has a much nicer Moth on his side of the screen, so we're back up to 2 crystals apiece here. No, I don't think so. You absolutely do not walk back through Skullwoods just to have a look at Bumper Ledge. It's just too easy to get to with the flute and the mitts in hand. If you ever need to do North Dark World, you'll just do it.
Well, it looks like Phant is going anyways.
Whatever happened to that Game 1 guarantee? So Phant is going to absolutely bail himself out here.
Unless he's going south.
Oh no. You don't leave Skullwoods without intentionally doing this. Alright, now he knows where his hookshot is. And actually, I believe that would put Phant in a sword mode here. Because he already knows where the bow is, he already knows where the hookshot is, and this seed is rounding out to be kind of jet.
I mean, any seed that doesn't make you do Turtle Rock is a good seed, let's be honest here. I say this, we're still going to see like 3 swords there or something.
Yeah, unless there's absolutely nowhere else that a sword is placed in this world, you're not seeing Turtle Rock, folks. Get a good look at our stun prize check. Small magics at hand. So we have a little history with that item placement, Zeke.
And I don't really want to go into it.
That's the first of 3 medallions that, to our knowledge, we do not know at any point in this seed. Again, the only thing that they can really gate is a sword.
And to answer question in chat, the bow is on Lake Hylia Island.
And if I recall correctly, Phant has seen it and Maya hasn't been down that way yet, so it's another one of those items that you may be like, oh, that's where that is, when she finally gets around to going down in that direction. And today did game 22 digs for a pack of blueberries. I mean, the game's got to start giving bombs eventually. We've had plenty of arrows to this point.
We have had plenty of arrows, that's for certain. And Stumpy today will have just a big 24th today.
Alright, and not having the mirror, Phant is going to be leaving the Cave 45 check for the moment. Of course, he's going to be seeing the mirror in just a moment and going, aw, geez, did I really? When you don't believe in Hype Cave and it is hype, getting late to it kind of feels bad.
This is one of the more hype caves we've seen in recent seeds.
Yeah, Hype Cave, absolutely misnomer, referring to this cave being quite the thing back in the earlier versions of the randomizer. These days, it's just 5 more checks. On a positive note, he'll be able to activate that flute going straight out of Kakariko with the smith to turn him in, get the powder check, and then go directly to... He can flute straight to 7 if he wants to. And kind of turn his nose up at K45 if he doesn't think it has anything. And
meanwhile,
crystal number 3...
well-executed blind fight by Maya. Oh! Chad is correct. Phant did not grab the bow while he was in the area.
Yeah, there are other times you can route in that bow. It's a little bit out of the way for what's available on the seed for us. Although Phant not having the cape and knowing where the hookshot is might start digging around at some of these places around the bow. Well, I mean, if you're going to run into any NPC in Kakariko, she's probably not the one you want to run into. Actually, she probably is the one you want to run into. Because you run into the jogging gal, then you get to sit through a few boxes of dialogue that aren't exactly a lot of fun. Gonna see our magic bat check. Actually, Neko's gonna get to it first. And just a little bit more love.
We will get to see the K45 check on our way through here.
You know, interestingly, Phant just save and quit out of the Magic Bat Cave, so he's probably going straight for the bow and I would imagine directly to Pod.
Given that he doesn't have the hookshot for Swamp, it's a understandable route. Because The real question is, leaving Purple Chest after doing the rest of Smith Chain makes it one very, very isolated Purple Chest.
This dig game paying out in spades for Maya-Neko. She's gotten a refund and then some, which is pretty nice. Of course, money is no longer an issue on the seed, as we see both runners have more than enough to pay for Pod. And they've also both paid Zora, so kind of a rich seed in that respect anyway. Here's our K45, and we are going to see Blue Boom, and Neko says, yeah, I want that.
Useful enough for in GT to pick it up when it's just right in front of you.
Good utility item, and it does if you have it. Sometimes with Quick Swap, you get so used to having a boomerang that if not having it, you could accidentally go one too far. And what you thought was the bow is actually the mirror, and hey, you're at the front of the dungeon again.
Been there, done that. Never feels good to do it, especially if said dungeon is, say, the top of Ganon's Tower.
And actually, despite full clearing swamp here, this is actually a really good situation for Maya-Neko to be in. There's not a lot gated by scooping on the mitts here.
We are getting the mini Moldorm Cave now.
44.5-minute mini Moldorm Cave. Get hype, everybody, because this cave was not.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Are we currently in hook, cape and sword go for Phant, and mitts and sword go for Maya?
That is entirely correct. We are in Commentator's No mode, and we have been for about 10 minutes now.
I mean more commentator sword mode. But you gotta assume there's a sword accessible somewhere.
Yeah, a sword's gonna show up. This is gonna be the hobo check and the visual check, and see the bow for Maya-Neko. Great news, great news. She now knows that is there and waiting for her. The blessing in disguise about that mitts location is that it doesn't allow for some really awful dives to happen. Obviously, we haven't seen a book, so the mitts are our access to Crystal Desert. Without mitts, you can't get to Turtle Rock, you can't get to Misery Mire, you can't dive into Ice Palace, so she's going to get funneled into those mitts very quickly here. And now for Phant, however, he's basically on a wild goose chase. Depending on what paths he decides to take here, could end up going down the rabbit hole deeper and deeper until he finds that cape.
He will eventually find his way up to the cape, because if you're playing Clear the Crystals and then the surrounding areas of those crystals, you will be brought up the mountain to the Tower of Hera. In addition, based on comment chat, with Maya having bow knowledge, going to Pod and then Eastern isn't unlikely, because after Pod, what is left for Maya?
A whole lot of not much. Spike Cave, really.
A lot of kind of isolated checks. The Shovel, Spike Cave, Pendant Eastern, and Ice Rod Cave.
And Ice Rod Cave, we know, has the lamp, which, in this mode, at this point, this late into the tournament, lamp is absolutely a suggestion.
I'd be more excited to see a lamp if, say, we didn't start with a Fire Rod.
Yeah, that kind of does something. Phant gonna get bullied a little bit by these hard hat beetles. Oh man, that was really close to getting bumped off. Hey, look, it's a sword! They do exist!
Well, Maya is now in Mitts mode. Mitts for Go mode is a situation a lot of players actually like.
Yeah, because as we discussed earlier, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, that could be gated by mitts and a seed, especially in the case of the number of dungeons that we have to clear that are requiring the mitts. In this case, not a high number, but plenty enough that you run out of checks sooner than later. And more HP. That fills that first row for Phant at 10. Or Maya's already been at 10, so we'll be seeing a second row of HP. And we got... Maya never did King's Tomb, so she doesn't have
Maya
red now.
did King's Tomb.
Did she do King's? No, she did do King's Tomb. She did it
She
after
used the
Graveyard
mirror.
Ledge. She waited to do King's Tomb.
I mean, she had to wait. She didn't have a mitts to get to King's Tomb from the Light World.
That's true. That's true. That is. It's like I said, coffee is absolutely the best thing that gets a mind going in the morning, but it takes some time. Say morning is over here. We're on the West Coast. This is early for me. I'm the one staying up playing randos and watching VODs of races that I've seen throughout the day. And you can watch too. All kinds of Zelda action all over ZeldaSpeedRuns, pretty much any time of day.
The advantage of us having volunteers all across the world here. And it looks like we're going to go visit the Helmassar King.
Indeed we are. And another one of those crystals that we need to collect to finish the game here. And to the back with Maya-Neko. So, big key not known yet in Swamp Palace. Yeah, we're going to see a bomber down here, though.
We did not see it on Left Side Swamp, but I'm not a fan of trying to fight Bomber down with that fire snake.
Yeah, all it takes is missing it once or the fire snake getting in your way once, and you can put yourself in a psychological path of, leave me alone. And just kind of, spend a little bit more time on trying to get it than it would take for you to just, walk up and get the key the normal way.
By chance, have we seen the map of Swamp Palace?
I don't think we have. So if it's not on Arcus, we know it's in the big chest. And one of our trackers is saying we have.
If it's in Bomb Chest, I think that's a vanilla map. And the turtle room with a fighter sword is not fun, which is why we're using a hammer.
A great number of Dark World things with a fighter sword aren't quite fun, especially since most of the bosses in the Dark World do not take less than Master Sword damage. The two notable exceptions, of course, being Blind and Moth, the first two crystals we saw Phant go for.
Moth takes fire sword damage, and Blind just takes damage. Because it doesn't matter what level of sword you have.
Well, Blind also gives damage by way of pun.
Psychological damage. And we have Argus going down for Maya with the other boomerang.
Alright, now we can throw two booms.
Dual-wielding boomerangs, that sounds awesome.
And Helma's gone.
For Phant.
We are going to see this check of the big chests. It's objectively a good play. You don't want to leave an item behind here. You've already done left side, so you might as well finish the job.
I mean, imagine if this is another sword or silvers. Phant would almost definitely walk right past him.
Now, Maya has not picked up the bow yet, but she can absolutely do so in quick fashion if she so decides to do Pyramid Fairy into Pod, and then after that, all she really has is Eastern at this point, unless the book shows up. I would have been real mad if I had said it and it happened.
I would have been too. Oh, Phant is going up the mountain.
Yep. Well, he was going up the mountain, and then a roadblock got in his way.
The rudest of squirrels.
Dad rock.
And we are getting a big red bomb play.
This could be an advantage, but it could also give us something we don't really want to see. And the thing that I'm worried about right now for Maya would be a book. That's probably one of the last things you want to see in this situation.
This would also be another place where a sword or a bow would be kind of a terrible spot for Phant. But I'm expecting 10 arrows and 3 bombs.
I'm expecting a medallion and a bottle, the 4th bottle. There's 20 rupees and a piece of heart. So we were all completely off the mark there.
Free fairies, though.
Alright, so what's going to happen here is she's going to go pick up that bow, and she's going to go directly to Palace of Darkness, as I believe that's really the only thing she has going for her here. And when Pod comes up empty, she'll bring her back to Eastern, get her mitts, and basically be ready to roll. Watch out, though. Phant's not too far behind here. He has the pod clear on her already, and as soon as he's done with Tower of Herald, he headed to the east side of the mountain where he could find another bow or sword himself, if he decides to make the mitts checks.
And we are getting that fast south route to the bow.
I don't think there's any circumstance here where you go independent Eastern before Crystal Pod. I'm just putting that out there. Especially having the mirror in hand, that's probably the only reason you might do it.
And
Pod
the
is
Tower
still
of
the more
Herald
dense play.
complete for Phant. He will be crossing the mountain next.
I don't think we're going to be seeing Maya-Neko pick up the lamp either on this seed because of where it is. You either go to Ice Rod Cave and you get whatever's there, or you never go back to Ice Rod Cave and don't think twice. Unless it has your progression.
We do get the checks here, which means 2 more bottles, both with bees.
As you, it's beautiful. And she instantly leaves the bees with Sahasrara, so he has a couple pests to deal with now.
And we are going to Spiral Cave.
Yep. Yeah, you're gonna love it, Phant, when you see it. You might hate it, because you've already been up the mountain once, but I don't think... You know, this is a good 50-50 for Phant. He could either leave and hope that what he's looking for just comes up, or he could gamble that there's a sword or some other form of item that he needs somewhere here on Dark Death Mountain. He hasn't done Paradox yet, so there's still plenty of items at large that are very much on the table here.
Yeah. With the sword situation, I do think it's the right call here to check Super Bunny Cave at least.
Super Bunny Cave and 1 bonkable check in Hookshot Cave, and of course, Paradox, the Siren Call of 7 checks, you can't ignore that.
Yeah, with Paradox Cave still outstanding, you absolutely do not skip these checks. And there is a sword in Swamp Palace.
The thing, though, is if he doesn't find if he does find a sword other than Swamp Palace, he might just end up go moting through Swamp, which will save him quite a bit of time. But it will keep him sword down if Maya happens to unearth another one. Of course, with the knowledge of what's on the table for us, I don't think we're going to see it. And he did leave, so we're going to go see Phant pick up the hookshot, and that's going to put him in sword mode, which for us we know is functionally go mode, as there is a sword in Swamp, because there's always a sword in Swamp.
Always sword and swamp.
Yeah, always with the biggest air quotes you've ever seen. Air quotes that make the boulders on Death Mountain seem small.
But that hookshot is just sitting here. First has to deal with the Dacto and the Moblin, because the enemies do not want Phant to get the hookshot.
You know, the hookshot is the ideal weapon to have to deal with the Dacto, too. So not having it, because it's sitting up there taunting you, and only having one sword, that Dacto was going to harass him no matter what he did there. And Maya demonstrating why we don't really care about a lamp going through parts of Palace of Darkness. Not only do you get the fire rod to light this room up, but the Dark Maze is just one of those things you commit to muscle memory after a time.
Yeah, learning the Dark Maze is a definite skill you want to know. Conveniently for this lamp seed that Maya likely will not be getting a lamp for, we don't have to do the two worst dark rooms in the game. We don't want to go to Maya, and we don't want to go to Aga's Tower. And oh my.
Why is that there?
That actually has the potential to be our game changer.
Oh, it sure does. That is huge with Ice Palace on the table for both runners. And also could play into the GT hunt as well for the big key.
There is a very slight chance that we see that checked from Maya as she goes through to Desert, but...
And if you're Maya, and you still want to go fast, I think you make at least that check going to Desert, looking for a third sword.
But still, that is not a great spot for the cane in this situation.
And yeah, for the go emote that showed up in chat, absolutely, that is our guaranteed go for Phant as soon as he finds a sword. Which we all know there's one in his path, so as long as he goes to check it. I believe that was the compass check in Swamp?
It was, in fact, the compass check.
So if he decides to go mow through Swamp, he's going to be looking for another sword completely elsewhere, off the beaten path, possibly in GT.
That is arguably the worst pun I've seen in a while, Ben.
You know, Ben, I think you're lucky that the entire Restream crew didn't just up and leave after that one.
I mean, one of our trackers does not care for puns.
Both of our trackers have basically said, don't you dare do that again.
And here's why we don't care about the lamp in the back of the dungeon either.
You care about it a little more if you don't have a fire rod, but you know, we kind of started with one, so... Nothing
And
but
the land
the
was
most...
go down for Phant.
Nothing but the most beautiful shots from that fire rod to take down Lemelus. Nothing but the most serious conversation going on here is Maya is about to fire a boatload of arrows into Helmasaur King. And then she'll be down to Eastern, I think. There's really nothing else left for her on the Dark Overworld here.
I mean, we even checked Pyramid Fairy.
Absolutely, and she did start by going to Catfish, Zora, and Waterfall, so there's nothing there for her to go back and chase after. So she has to know at this point that mitts are in Eastern.
Mitts, or the item leading to mitts, which we know is just the mitts.
You get one mitt, pick it up, go make a mitt check, and you find the other mitt. Guess I'll put the glove on the other hand, huh?
This sounds like a terrible idea for how to run a festive. You have to find the mitts individually.
You have to find both boots. Can't dash with just one. Alright, here comes the Swamp Palace play for Phant. And you have to think he's still a sword down, so he needs that sword to finish the game. I don't think you go mode Swamp until you have a sword, which luckily it's in a pretty nice spot. And the mitts for Maya, and she is out of there.
She is in a potential go mode.
All depends on where this flute takes her, and if it's directly to desert, then if she checks Mire Shed, she is in true go mode. And I'm with chat. I'm with chat here. Being on 2 swords and 1 bow says you're checking Shed. You're looking for something to give you an edge, and it's gonna give you a Cane of Samaria at 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 48 seconds. Maya-Neko is our first runner in go mode.
Which, that Ether being there does lead me to the question of what was our Maya medallion? Did we actually look at it? I mean, we don't have to, but if it was Ether, we had the Meyer keys under the doormat, and we don't even need them.
Knowing that all you needed for finishing the seed was really 1 item, she's gonna at least look and see where the key is. We'll know that we have to get the small key to get the big key. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
And Phant is not too far behind Maya here. Because with that sword pickup, Phant is also in go mode.
And Phant does have a dungeon that Maya doesn't have done in Desert, and is in the dungeon that she hasn't done in Swamp, so this is a lot closer than it seems.
So, if you guys wanted a close race, well, have we got a race for you?
Yeah, this is all going to be routing, execution, and a little bit of luck now. One player could choose to make one check that the other one doesn't and get that coveted sword advantage, or silvers, or something. One goes left, the other goes right in GT, and the whole race is on its head.
Yeah, the big deciding factor in a close race like this is always going to be Ganon's Tower routing.
But first, we both know that Ice Palace is waiting. We have that cane, so we're going to be falling right on through.
And we do have one note that Maya has the ever slightest lead between the slightly easier boss to kill here and being in the light world already.
Phant doing some double slashes on the Argus Puffs, while 6 Fire Rod shots and apparently a poke on the first one that got a little bit too close for Maya. She has her 6th crystal and is going to go directly to ice here.
Ice Palace. This dungeon has logic that we tend to ignore all the time.
The intrigue for this dungeon today is the knowledge of Cane of Samaria being available. As I alluded to before, the game can logically expect you to have Samaria if it places a key on Cold Stare. And one of our trackers pointing out the exit of the respective dungeons. Maya-Neko about half a minute ahead of Phant, but that can change in a grand hurry here.
This looks a little bit like a sword hunt.
Yeah, you check anything that's on your path. You have to go through and kill this room anyway, so there's no reason not to open the chest after you do.
I mean, that room you don't have to kill anything.
Well, that's true. You could just dip right out, but, you know, it's a relatively quick little gallivant across the noses of the Pengators. Did we say this yet? You know, this is game 1 of a best-of-3 series in the 5th round of Challenge Cup. Round of 8. Winner gets to play against Zero Rush.
Well, there's a small key on right side.
Are you telling me that Cane of Samaria is a red herring?
Chat pointing out what I think everybody's honestly thinking about that match with Zero Rush potential.
I suppose what I was actually trying to say there is that if you're enjoying this race and what you've seen thus far, you should probably be giving these two runners a follow and support their endeavors going forward in the Challenge Cup and beyond. And while you're at it, you should give the Zelda Speedruns Network a follow as well for more Zelda action of all kinds.
Yes, yes. Alright. And this is our path to Cold Stare. Phant did have a little trouble with the icebreaker.
I think someone in chat feels a little called out right now. Alright, we didn't see the big key, right? So this is just a drop straight to Cold Stare play for Maya. She's already seen 2 items. There's nothing wrong with this. Not quite getting the Sword Beam Fire Rod for a couple shots there.
We saw all 3 items, actually.
Oh, we saw all 3. Okay.
Piece of heart and 2 big 20s.
Well, it shows you I can count.
I mean, I'm not best known for counting at Ice Palace either.
Hey, would you look at that? Samaria was not logically required for Ice Palace, although the hookshot was. Oh, well, maybe not. Is Ice Palace just open for our runners? Wouldn't you know, it's a go-modable dungeon.
And with that is 7 crystals for Maya-Neko. So get your guesses in chat as to the location of that all-important Ganon's Tower big key. And you know, I don't like to actually put my own bets in the chat when I'm on commentary, but I do like to discuss them with my co-com. So, what are your thoughts?
So I'd like to see us possibly have the carrot dangle, but it shows up. I put a 10 in chat. I do occasionally just change it up every once in a while. Of course, you could also get deadrocked and give your opponent the opportunity to get back into it. Deadrocks are the worst enemy in Link to the Past.
Yep. And my personal choice for number is lucky number 13, of course. Which in this case is lucky usually, because unless you do full right side, that tends to put it right about Rando Room, right as you're worried about Ice Armos.
You have to think here this is going to be another big last check or two for a sword on your way up the mountain here.
I mean, when you're already going through Super Bunny because you don't have the TR portal active, it's worth checking the two you're standing right in front of. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's shiny treasure. You have to collect it, right?
I mean, what if there's a sword or silvers in Super Bunny Cave and you just walked right past them?
Well, it's red, and it's it's our potion money that we just spent. Okay. Now, the other question is, do you take the extra moment to do hookshot here? And I think Maya-Neko says, yes, I do.
4 checks, you have a hookshot. And do you really, really want to do Master Sword Silverless?
Does anybody want to do Master Sword Silverless? You get a free blue goo for your trouble. That's always nice. And there's a sword!
Hey, bottle percent.
You get your tempered sword out of Hookshot Cave, and your first thought is, oh, we have 4 bottles. Cool.
I mean, you already called out the sword, so I might as well cheerfully comment on our bottles.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a time save move if you get a sword there, and you have to assume your opponent's probably going to do it too. Not only does the tempered sword save a little bit of time going up the tower, it saves a ton of time whether or not you have silvers on Ganon himself. And, both runners being in red mail, surviving's not really a thing, but the ability to just blitz past the gauntlet is huge.
And at 1:15:20, Maya-Neko enters Ganon's tower.
And she's going...
Go ahead.
She's going directly to Hope. Does she go right here? She does.
She is going right.
That cane of Samaria, we wanted to see it. Let's see what happens. Well, watch out, because Maya is not far behind. Not Maya. Phant is not far behind Maya. Good morning.
Good morning, Zaru.
Here's the moment of truth. Was the cane required for this steed? Absolutely, because you need that arrow. Logically, it is, because that's a key in Compass Room. And the big key!
And the big key is behind the red cane.
There is absolutely... That's unprecedented. There's no way. And he's going to get it too. Wow, red cane sneaking in required for the seed.
And this is why the red cane is the best item in the game.
No, the red cane is the best item in the game is because it's everyone's favorite glitch stick.
Hi, I run glitches. So yes, I do like the red cane.
That you do, my friend. There's a reason we're all asking you why it's where it is.
The winning bet was... Did nobody bet 6?
Nope.
Apparently not.
And the 7 was before the 2 bets of 5 later. So first come, first get is as we usually do it here.
Right. Thank you, Siberian, for handling the betting.
And congratulations.
Big shout out to Siberian for running the restream today.
Oh, Siberian doing a great job of behind the scenes, keeping everything smooth for us.
Maya has to be a little careful here in the gauntlet. We do have a fairy in a bottle at the moment, but 2.5 hearts is still 1.5 hearts is still not how many hearts you want to have in these rooms.
Phant having a little bit of issue with this Mimic's room as well, getting harassed by a BMO shot that really just kind of puts him off the mark for a moment. That pot just skips short. I hate that. These moving conveyor rooms are just... they're a pain, but having the Tempered Sword makes this one a little bit nicer than the previous.
Can anyone else agree that the second to last room of the ice and conveyor rooms is the worst room in the gauntlet?
Alright, so Maya is going to take that first gulp of blue goo and refill herself for this Lammo fight. And the short hop. Thanks, Lammo.
Landmolas really do like the short hop. We have a most of a gauntlet lead for Maya-Neko right now.
And this Stalfos room slowing him down just a little bit, but Phant has plenty of time to catch up here. Anything could go wrong in Ganon's tower.
And, again, my favorite rooms in the game. The Wizrobe rooms, where the Kame Samaria makes them some of the most satisfying rooms when executed properly.
You mean like that?
I mean exactly like that. Oh, but the collapsing bridge has its usual entourage of guards who do not want you to get through.
And a guard clash there it usually doesn't go very well. Which honestly is perfectly okay in a lot of situations, but you still don't want to end up getting chinked off of your dash path, and then suddenly you're getting boxed around and off the bridge, and, well... So there is one little difference here between the equipment of our two runners, and that is Phant has a lamp, and Maya-Neko does not. Do you think that might play into the Ganon fight a little bit here if we don't see silvers?
Potentially. We did get a nice heart refill off of a piece of heart in Mini Helmer room.
And we've got your favorite lucky number 13 for a heart count now. That's pretty nice. Maya accidentally getting herself away from the magic refill for a moment there, but that's easily fixed.
And everyone's favorite Troll Dorm returns for vengeance.
Luckily, round 2 is going to be nowhere near as difficult as round 1 with this sword, a spin and a slash, and he goes down.
And we have our first runner reaching Aga 2. Hunas, for most of our seeds, is we can... Well, he is the second Aghanim in the game, is the only Aghanim we tend to fight.
A little bit of flex on the most there, I think.
Emphasis on the word most.
And 2 shots for the first cycle on Aga 2. And 2 for the second cycle on Aga 2. Pretty nice patterning here. And yeah, that's a triple-double. So, Aga 2 giving us exactly what we want to see. Moldorm enraged, on the other hand, for Phant, and is giving him a chase around the arena and takes a fall.
Yeah, landing a poke with the Tempered Sword does Master Sword damage, and Master Sword damage gives Moldorm a massive speed boost. What in the world is this Moldorm doing? It's so aggressive!
Alright, getting a couple extra spins in there. Maya now has just 1 spin, and I believe that would make it 10 slashes to follow to get out of Phase 2. Playing it a little bit more careful here. Don't want to accidentally get buffeted by fire bats or put yourself in a situation where you have to pause and either fairy revive or take that red.
The big question comes down to, will we get the torch glitch with only a fire rod.
And again, this is a round of 8 match. These players have shown that they know what's going on. So
and Phant brings down Aga 2. So we're going to have effectively one runner in phase 4 as the other one is starting the Ganon fight. And Silvers are in Ganon's tower.
Because of course they are, and she does get that fire rod torch glitch. We are 12 spins from a dead pig. But don't look away, because Phant is dropping into his Ganon fight right now.
And there's always a potential of a Ganon fall, as little as I like to say that. A Ganon fall is a disaster.
And we've seen it happen at all levels of competition. It can take a race and make it from being crazy ahead to losing by a hair. So it's the last thing that any runner really wants to have happen. But right now, I think it's the last thing that's on Maya-Neko's mind, because she is only a couple spins away. And that will do it for Maya-Neko.
Just has to get across that 1x3 bridge. Most dangerous bridge in this game.
And right as Phant enters phase 4, there it is, Maya-Neko finishing first with a time of 1:24.31, taking the first game of this best of 3 matchup.
And joining us in the commentary booth is Maya-Neko.
Alright.
Hello, hello, and GG.
G.
We are just going to wait just a minute to let Phant's run finish here. Beautiful spins out of here, and Phant has gotten that 12th spin. As before, just 1x3 bridge, and then Phant will have finished this seed.
And there it is. Phant will finish with that time of 1:25.51. Pretty close game, considering we had 2 very divergent paths. So GG's to Phant as well. Well played by both runners here.
GG.
Unfortunately not. Phant declined the interview.
But Phant did give us a couple of notes for about the seed. Standard seed overall. We did notice him menuing throughout the seed. With a different setup, he did forget to turn on Quick Swap, unfortunately. But GG to Maya-Neko.
Oh, GG. Yes.
So, do you have any thoughts on... Well, the seed was both open and shut pretty early for both of you, honestly, because you went and picked up a Moon Pearl in probably one place you don't want to see a Moon Pearl, in an early sphere.
Yeah, that's a place I check very often early on. Yeah, was a lucky find, and hope that it would be an advantage for me.
And we did notice you had a Mitts Go mode, and wondered, what are your thoughts on finding those Mitts late and having them effectively be Go mode?
Yeah, I felt very bad about it because I found the Moonbar early and in a place where Phant might already checked Eastern Palace before me. And I did many other locations, like the Dark World, which might not be necessary if I would find the Moon Pearl later. Yeah, my micro is quite...
Well, Phant calls it a pretty standard seed. In a way, it really kind of was. Game gives you pretty much no idea what's going on. You come upon your Moon Pearl, whether you did it early or late, it really just kind of opens everything up at that point. One advantage you had was being able to get the hook shot in the first go. And of course, we saw a sword just kind of fall into your lap, and then what are your thoughts on when you picked up that cane? Knowing you had those dungeons 6 and 7 in the Dark World are completely not necessary to have the cane being pendants, being gated, not really any reason. Probably glad to see it regardless with that GT.
Yes, I was searching for a sword or silvers at that point, and was quite glad to see the Mario there, because I don't want to search it afterwards, but that was pretty much the last thing I would check before going top. So was quite lucky.
I'm trying to think of what else to ask here.
Yeah,
right,
the problem with a very standard C is there's not really too much to ask about.
Yeah, it was quite linear. Was good because I needed to go to toilet since Ice Palace.
Oh, that definitely ramps the nerves up a little bit when you're trying to go fast. In a way, it kind of makes you really feel like you could go faster. And that Tempered Sword and Hookshot Cave, which both of you did pick up, by the way, does really, admittedly, allow for that, because I think the last thing anyone wants to do in a seed that's not normal item pool is Master Sword Silverless.
Definitely.
Yeah, Master Sword Silverless is not a very fun fight, so I was relieved that we didn't have to see it.
I guess if there are no further questions, we can wrap this up already.
I do have one. Now that we're through with Game 1, what can we expect for Game 2? Do you two have an idea when it might be?
I wouldn't be surprised if it would be a little bit longer. But I wait for it. I don't like to predict anything.
Well, there you have it. Thanks again, Maya-Neko and GG. And of course, remember, follow these runners and keep an eye out. That was only one of possibly 3 games being played in this series.
Yeah, and these runners have put on a lot of good work to get to this point. Lots of good showings throughout Challenge Cup, and I expect we'll see lots of good showings going forward. Also give a shout out to our trackers today. Scottish Brave and Pie. Because as commentators, we don't always catch everything. And the trackers are there to keep us honest. Kind of like chat. Right, Zaru?
Yeah, Zeke, you said it. Without chat and without trackers, I think we'd probably be making a laughingstock of ourselves. Well, at least I would have, because I'm pretty sure I missed a great number of things on this one. But it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. Two quick players with a lot of skill on the stream at the same time.
And also, don't forget our lovely commentators, Seek Highwind and Saruvian, who commentated this match for you.
And of course, a shout out to ZeldaSpeedRuns and to the restreamer representative from them, Siberian, for letting us put this lovely race onto the air.
And now it's time to give you a short preview what's up next here on ZSR on all of our channels. In about an hour here on this channel we will have an Ocarina of Time Bingo Tournament pre-tourney race. Similar to the it's OCS style. OCS what was it again? Ocarina of Time Championship. So they have a goal they get as soon as they start the seed. This is going to be interesting. Also at 3 p.m. at 3:30 p.m. Eastern we have the Minish Cap Randomizer weekly race. And we also have two scheduled the Wind Waker Randomizer Challenge Cup matches. One at 6 p.m. Eastern and the other one at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Just thanks again for letting us put on this show.
So all left for me to say is thank you very much for watching and see you next time on ZSR.